안녕하세요. 시간이 조금 늦었는데 이제 시작을 하려고 합니다. 저는 아직 안 떴네요. 저는 한국예술종합학교 총장인 박종원입니다. 제가 준비된 원고를 가지고 영어로 하는 것보다는 아까 점심 때도 이 발제자를 만나 뵙고 얘기를 하다 보니까 내용 자체를 좀 생생하게 전해주는 것이 좋을 것 같아서 제가 한국말로 하기로 했습니다. 이해해 주시기 바랍니다. 먼저 요 앞에 있었던 세션 1에서 제가 강연하는 것을 들었는데요. 거기서 주된 얘기는 월드 클래스 유니버시티에 대한 요건, 갖춰야 될 역량들 뭐 이런 것에 관한 얘기였습니다. 근데 거기서 귀에 유난히 많이 들렸던 것이 대학의 변화라는 키워드와요. 그 다음에 학제 간 연계라고 하는 키워드가 제 귀에 들어왔습니다. 지금부터 이제 발표를 할 크리스 웨인라이트에 대해서 제가 잠시 소개를 드리겠습니다. 이분께서는 그냥 앉아서 스피치로서 말씀하시는 게 아니고 여기 준비된 그림과 또 앞에 나오셔서 직접 설명을 하면서 좀 하는 그런 특별한 스피치가 될 것이라고 생각하고 있습니다. 그래서 이해를 돕기 위해서 제가 이 발제자에 대한 상황을 조금 설명을 해드리겠습니다. 이분은 뭐 거기 나와 있는 것처럼 포토그래퍼이기도 하고 또 큐레이터이기도 합니다. 그리고 유니버시티 오브 아츠 런던의 한 부총장급 정도 되는, 그러니까 학장보다는 3개의 단과대학을 아우르는 총장 역할을 하고 계시고요. 또 다른 하나가 여러분이 이제 스피치를 들으시면서 자꾸 들어오는 얘기가 케이프 페어웰이라고 하는 아마 단체 얘기를 하실 겁니다. 그래서 그것에 대해서 제가 잠깐 말씀을 드리면, 먼저 케이프 페어웰이라고 하는 것은 기후 변화에 대한 연구를 하기 위해서 2002년도에 설립된 어떤 단체인데요. 그들은 명성 있는 아티스트, 그다음에 뮤지션, 사이언티스트, 그다음에 라이더스, 그리고 특별한 직업이 있는 아주 전문가들이 모여서 북극의 제일 위쪽에서 빙하가 녹는 것에 대한 기후 변화에 대해서 연구하기 위해서 팀을 구성해서 갔습니다. 가서 거기서 이 각기 다른 사람들이 모여서 이 기후 변화를 우리가 지금 이 시대를 살면서 어떻게 맞이하고 이것을 좋은 쪽으로 변화시키기 위해서, 지키기 위해서는 무엇을 바꿔야 되는가라고 하는 예술, 문화, 과학 여러 가지 분야에 대한 이야기들을 계속 논의해 왔습니다. 그때 지금 크리스 웨인라이트도 거기 참여를 하셨고 그것에 대한 설명을 아마 많이 해주실 텐데요. 그래서 결국은 기후변화라고 하는 것이 예술과 교육과 어떻게 연관되는지가 아마 이번 스피치의 중요한 사항들이 되지 않을까라고 생각하고 있습니다. 그 다음에 이렇게 된 결과들을 가지고 아까 말씀드린 런던 예술대학에서 여러 가지 기후 변화에 대해서 예술가들이 어떻게 아이덴티티를 가져야 하고 그리고 테크놀로지를 어떻게 발전시켜야 되는가를 또 지속적으로 지금 연구 중에 있습니다. 그래서 사실은 저희 학교에서도 그리고 지금 한국 사회에서도 그렇지만 통섭융합이라고 하는 것이 많은 대학 간 학제 간의 연계와 더불어 지금 많은 화두로 부상하고 있는데요. 이런 것에 대한 조금 우리가 생각했던 것과는 다른 방식의 접근이 아마 발견되지 않을까라고 생각하고 있고, 저 또한 그래서 굉장히 사실 어제 저녁에 처음 만나서 굉장히 아주 익사이팅한 시간을 맞이했었습니다. 그래서 좀 그런 점을 초점을 맞추셔서 들어주시면 아마 되지 않을까라고 생각합니다. 그래서 결국은 이 창의적 예술과 교육이 어떤 것인가에 대한 이야기로 아마 귀결되지 않을까라고 생각하는데요. 그래서 참 좋은 시간이 되었으면 좋겠고, 또 저 또한 아주 좀 강의 내용을 페이퍼로 받을 수가 없었기 때문에 제가 개요만 알고 또 저 나름대로 리서치를 통해서 안 정보이고 해서 또 대화를 통해서 굉장히 어떤 얘기를 해주실지 굉장히 흥분하는 상태에서 기다리고 있습니다. 자, 그러면 우리 그 연사이신 크리스 웨인라이트를 소개해드리겠습니다.
Thank you. I'll just check you can hear me okay, yeah? Okay. I think half an hour is not very long to cover quite a wide range of subjects, so I'm going to try and do three things, but behind each of these things is a much bigger speech, so I try to make the points quite quickly, but there is much more to say than we can say in half an hour. So, my main role is that I'm head of three colleges in the University of the Arts in London, and I'm also president of ELIA, which is an organisation that represents 350 art academies in Europe, and it's an organisation which has been going for many years, founded in 1989, and it organises conferences and symposia and workshops for teachers and manages student projects and engages in policy making for higher arts education. And one of the really important roles that it undertakes is to be an advocate for creative education. Many countries are not enlightened about the value of arts and design education and the value of creativity. And part of ELIA's role is to talk with governments and talk with government agencies about the importance of supporting creative education and supporting people engaged in creative endeavour in our art and design academies. So it's very much an organisation that is profiling the fantastic creative talent that exists in all of the European art schools. And it does this through a number of projects. I can give you some very, very brief examples. We organise projects for students to engage in very high-profile projects such as decorating hotels, which are used by business people. And it's very interesting what happens when you put art directly into an environment where people don't always expect to see it. So when you walk into your hotel room, you see the walls completely painted by an artist. But also in the hotel room, there is a description about not what the artist is trying to say, but where you can contact the artist. And many artists have received commissions and have received work through this kind of exposure by putting art into business environments. We also manage film projects where we commission artists from art schools to make short films, and these are presented in European film festivals and again create opportunities for artists to get employment, often before they leave the academy. And also we've started to organise a festival of student work which is linking to each of the European cities of culture, and we are doing this as a completely online programme. And I just set this going in the background. We've created an online site for profiling the work of students from across Europe in all different disciplines. We've had about 1,700 entries, and all of these are able to be seen on the website, but also profiled in the festivals that surround the European cities of culture. So this is something we will do every year to show the new talent which is emerging across all of the art academies in Europe. So this is just an animation of the website. It includes visual arts, it includes the performing arts, and also students working in design and architecture. So it's something that we are starting to build an archive of what students are currently concerned about. Okay. This is a quote from Peter Sellers, who's an American theatre director. "I'd rather be an artist than a banker." This was a quote made in the middle of last year, almost directly after we realized that the world was in a bit of a financial crisis. And for the first time in history, an artist was more respected than somebody who ran a bank, because people were very concerned that the banks were not really that trustworthy or that reliable. And it was very interesting how suddenly there was a shift in values about what were the important decisions that we had to take to rectify some of the financial crisis and some of the problems that we're facing in the world. And in keeping with the theme of this forum, there's a growing recognition that we need to find creative solutions to the world's problems, not just the financial crisis, but also the global crisis around climate change. And Peter Sellers, I think, in this rather provocative statement, was actually trying to say that we cannot always trust the people who created the problems to solve them, and that we need to find new solutions and engage new communities of people to address some of our problems. And this is where I think creative education can play a very, very significant role in participating in the way that we can help people to address their lifestyles, because it's partly our lifestyles that are responsible for global warming, for instance. I'm going to jump back to the college environments now for a few minutes and talk to you about an initiative that we are just beginning to develop at Chelsea, Camberwell and Wimbledon. And we're starting to build a new graduate school. And we've had postgraduate education and research for many years. Excuse me a second. Sorry about that. And one thing we try to do is, excuse me, is make stronger links between research and teaching. And we came up with the notion that the graduate school, whilst it was based very much on the creative work of art and design, that one of the things that we felt was important, that those design communities work together across their disciplines, and that we felt that those disciplines, if they work together, could address some of these issues that we are facing. And we came up with three main themes: climate change, identities, and technologies. And this was something that came through quite a long period of discussion, about 18 months, working with teams of people, with students, with teachers and researchers, working together to say, what are the most important things that we feel creative education should be dealing with? What were artists and designers and filmmakers and textile designers concerned about? And those three issues started to come to the surface more and more. So we decided that the graduate school would have those themes across the disciplines as a means of allowing people from various backgrounds to talk to each other and to make a collective and creative approach to some of those problems. So we spent many hours, many days thinking about structures and doing it in a very inclusive way and involving a number of outside agencies to help us define what the themes should be doing and how we should be developing them. So we've been engaged in a range of activities with our external partners. This is a project we've made with the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, looking at identity, looking at what makes up a multicultural society, what are the histories, and also what are some of the challenges in globalization and human movement that define people's identity. I'm not sure if I'm from the city I was born in, if I'm from London, if I'm from England, if I'm from Europe, if I'm from wherever I happen to be in the world. My identity shifts all the time. And this is true for many people, that the mobilization that we now enjoy creates different kinds of identities for us depending on which group we're part of and which place we're in and which context we're working in. So the notion of identity is not as fixed as it maybe was in previous times. Right. Motivation. One of the reasons that we chose to work with climate change as a key theme was to take inspiration from a project called Cape Farewell, of which I'm part, and it's an organisation that takes artists and scientists and musicians to the Arctic region to witness firsthand some of the dramatic effects of climate change and to use those communities of people who are not used to talking to each other to find new creative solutions and new ways of presenting the effects of climate change to new audiences in a way which is not necessarily trying to make everybody feel guilty about what's happening, but actually to try and empower people to take on board the issues of climate. So Cape Farewell is an organisation that puts at the centre of its philosophy a cultural response to climate change, because it is the way we have decided to live our lives that has created some of our basic problems. And if we change the way we live our lives, we can maybe contribute significantly to altering those changes. And that's about lifestyle, it's about making choices, and I think the role of creative education is to empower people to make those choices, to buy better design, to think more environmentally about what they consume and how they consume, and to actually also enhance their lives in the process of doing that. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples of work which has come out of that project. This is a conversation that I started to have with an architect, and we didn't quite know what was going to happen. We were thousands of miles from anywhere on this small Russian ship for a few weeks. We had nowhere else to go, so we had to make a conversation and we had to make things happen. And we started to talk about how we would express the ideas of global warming. And we came up with this idea that we would make a structure that was held up by helium balloons. And this structure would be 11 meters square. And that 11 meters square represents 1 ton of CO2. Each of us on the planet creates about 10 meters of CO2 per year as a byproduct. So we made this structure and we floated it into the sky, and it's difficult to see the detail from the slides, but this is like a cube and it's anchored to the ground. And we made this structure, if I go back to this slide, at the foot of a glacier. So in the background you can see the white front of the glacier. 10 years ago the glacier was where we are standing, so it is already retreating significantly. And then if you look forward, you can see the horizon, which is about 25 miles away from where we're standing. 25 miles is roughly the height of the ozone layer. And you can do the maths yourself. I'm not a mathematician, but if you think about how many people there are on the planet, and each of us creates 11, each of us creates this amount of carbon dioxide per year, 10 times this cube here, and you fill it up, it doesn't take much thinking about that we're not doing ourselves any favours. And then we brought this idea back to London, and we gave this project to a group of students. So we gave them this balloon kit, and we asked them to start to interpret the ideas and to reconstruct the work in the art school. So this is a group of students working with this idea of creating a visual cube of CO2. And they constructed this in the school, which is next to the Tate Gallery in England, in London. So we get about 20,000 people a year passing through this space. So we made this structure, which brought the ideas back into the college environment. The second project, which is an interesting example of how artists and scientists can work together. This is Ryuichi Sakamoto, who you may know. He's a Japanese musician. And he was also working with trying to gather information about the Arctic, but in a very different way. And he visited some villages where they have these dogs that they use for pulling the sledges across the ice in the winter. When the water freezes over, they can travel between the villages. But as the water doesn't freeze very much in the winter these days, they don't use the dogs very much because you cannot travel across the water. So the dogs are beginning to be killed because there is no need for them. He also made some sound recordings in some ice caves using bells. And he also worked with the scientists who were part of the expedition. And they were doing some really serious science in terms of measuring water temperature. And Ryuichi also was out in a small boat taking sound recordings from underneath the water. The sound of ice moving, the sound of sea mammals, of whales and seals making noises underwater. And the scientists were putting their equipment in the water as well, but they were measuring the salt content and the temperature of the water. So you have an artist making interventions into the water, you have scientists making interventions into the water. And this is what the scientists produce, which is a mapping of the temperatures of the sea. The top of the slide is the surface of the water, which is blue, which is cold. But the real warming is taking place underneath the surface. So this is data which is coming back from their experiments. And this is some of the equipment they were putting in the water to make these soundings. This is about minus 30 degrees as well, so it's quite hard work to do this. And this is a piece of music which Ryuichi made as a result of this intervention, which is taking digital data that the scientists produced, as well as his own musical data, and a recording of the dogs in the villages barking. And this is a piece of music from a new album which he's made, which will probably sell millions of copies. So this is one of the tactics that is used to put out information about global warming in a very popular way to a much wider audience than can be done through scientific journals. So I'll just play you a small section of this. Okay, musicians. One of the other things which GHRF does is invite musicians to respond to the environment very directly and to write new music, to work together, to work with scientists, to work with artists. Because one of the things about musicians, particularly musicians who make pop music, is they speak to thousands of people, sometimes millions of people, through their music, through recording, through concerts, through festivals. And this is a group of musicians who, on the last expedition to the Arctic, I'm not sure they'll be particularly well known to this group of people, but to young people they are some of the kind of heroes of popular music. And they were all encouraged to not just play music, but also to write music. And one of the projects I was involved with was working with this musician, Robin Hitchcock, to use some very old-fashioned signaling devices called semaphore, which is a marine signaling system. And I was playing this Beatles song, Here Comes the Sun, which I don't know if you know it, but it goes a bit like this. You know it?
Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun.
Okay. Anybody who's the same age as me probably remembers it. But there's a line in the song which says the ice is slowly melting. And this kept going around in my mind. So we started to work together on making a visual representation of the song, but also to create some new lyrics for a new piece of music. So these are some words which are translated into a visual form. So this says, there goes the ice. There you go. And this has now become the starting point for a major festival of music, which will be held in London in January next year, called Shift, where Robin and I are working on some new lyrics for some new music, and also some visuals which will accompany the concerts. And we're involving students in designing some of the staging and working on some of the computer graphics to develop the ideas. So this is a collaboration which has come from this particular expedition, which involves artists from different backgrounds, but then we bring that back into the schools to work with students to develop it further. So these are a couple of the photographs which I made on the expedition as well. Okay. I want to finish with a final piece of film, which is from a poet. And if I'm not sure how much poetry people listen to in their own countries, but poets don't always seem the obvious vehicles for discussing things in a very public way. They're very private, and poetry is a very private activity. But we took a poet on the expedition, and when he came back from the expedition, he made this short film. I think the translators might have a slight problem here, because he speaks in a very poetic English, which may be hard to translate. So even if you can't understand all the words, I think you'll get a sense of what he's saying. It's basically a short piece about progress and about whether or not we're making progress in the world, and whether or not we might actually be making the wrong decisions sometimes. And I think this is, for me, something which epitomizes the role of artists and creative people, to ask difficult questions. It's not always to provide answers, but to ask questions of ourselves, of society, about are we doing the right things. And I think part of the role of creative education is to provoke and to ask questions, and to stimulate people to think for themselves that they can contribute to some of the processes of putting the world right in terms of its climate and its economy. So I'm going to leave you with this short film. It's called What If? Before I do that, just a kind of summary comment. I think one of the things about artists is they tell you how you see the world. And I think one of our historical problems with art education is that we've encouraged creative people to often look too far inwards at themselves and not look outwards enough at the world that they're living in. And I think a role for creative people is to look outwards and not necessarily to look inwards. We've selected people for creative education often on the basis of this kind of notion of genius. And I think we have to change that. I think we have to provide a creative education for all kinds of people who are maybe not conventionally artistically talented, but have a view of the world and have a desire to say something about that world. And the role of education should be to give them the skills to do that. So I'm not sure the question of should our art schools be full of geniuses is the right question. I think there are people who are very talented in terms of what they can make and what they feel, but we need to open our doors to a wider range of people who have a view about the world and have something to say about it, and we can show them then how to make those desires work. So really it's a question of how big the world is. Is it a very personal world, or is it a world which people inhabit collectively and can have a collective response to? And finally, I think we should stop saying what's important and start saying what's urgent. This is called What If?
Lost number in the equation, a simple, understandable miscalculation. And what if, on the basis of that, The world as we know it changed its matter of fact. Let me get it right. What if we got it wrong? What if we weakened ourselves, getting strong? What if we found in the ground a vial of proof? What if the foundations missed a vital truth? What if the industrial dream sold us out from within? What if our impenetrable defense sealed us in? What if our wanting more was making less? And what if all this wasn't progress? Let me get it right. What if we got it wrong? What if we weakened ourselves, getting strong? What if our wanting more was making less? And what if all this wasn't progress? What if the disappearing rivers of Eritrea, the rising tides and encroaching fear? What if the tear inside the protective skin of Earth was trying to tell us something? Let me get it right. What if we got it wrong? What if we weakened ourselves, getting strong? What if the message carried in the wind was saying something? From butterfly wings to the hurricane, it's the small things that make great change. And the question towards the end of the lease is no longer the origin, but the end of species. Let me get it right. What if we got it wrong? What if the message carried in the wind was saying something?
Okay, thank you very much.
네, 역시 제가 예상했듯이 어떤 스피치라고 하는 것이 보통 논리적이고 또 어떤 그 논리를 전개해 나가는 체계들을 갖고 있는데 도식화된, 그러나 지금 이번 이 스피치는 굉장히 정서적이면서 하지만 분명한 그 문제의식을 지니고 있는, 주제를 향하고 있는 그런 스피치가 아니었나라고 생각이 듭니다. 보통 이러고 나면 되게 정리를 하는데 제가 스스로도 잘 맞는 건지를 모르기 때문에 오히려 제가 여기 계신 분들한테 질문하듯이 한번 정리를 해보겠습니다. 아마 이 북극에 빙하가 녹는 것에 대한 클라이밋 체인지에 대한 문제의식을 가지고 여러 분야의 사람들이 모여서 가서 그것을 그 현장에서 사진을 찍고, 또 어떤 사람은 수온을 재는 과학자들 옆에서 뮤지션은 그 소리를 들으면서 음악을 만들어내고, 이런 여러 가지 각자의 일을 하지만 기후변화라고 하는 것을 동일한 주제를 놓고 접근했다라고 하는 그런 팩트가 하나 있는 것 같습니다. 그래서 그게 2008년도에 실행이 됐었고요. 그러면서 아마 느꼈던 것은 우리가 이렇게 녹는 빙하는 뭐 인간의 잘못이라든가 이런 브레임의 차원이 아니었고, 어떻게 하면 이것이 나아질 수 있을까라는 대안을 찾는 방식이 있어서 라이프 스타일의 변화가 아마 있어야 되지 않을까라는 인식, 문제의식을 가졌던 것 같습니다. 그래서 그것은 그 문제의식을 해결하기 위해서는 문화적 대응만이 좋은 방법이 아니겠는가라는데 아마 어느 정도 합의를 하신 것 같고, 그리고 그런 문화적 대응이 될 때 비로소 우리 삶의 방식이 변화할 수 있다라는 아마 결론에 도달한 것이 아닌가라는 생각이 듭니다. 그 삶의 방식의 변화는 어떻게 만들 수 있는가에 대해서 말씀하신 걸 보면 그건 스스로 생각하고, 그 다음에 스스로 자극하고, 스스로에게 질문하는 그런 늘 문제의식을 갖는 데서부터 바뀔 수 있다고 생각하고, 그것은 아마도 그런 것들을 포함하는 것이 창의적 교육이라고 우리는 얘기할 수 있지 않을까라고 생각하는 것 같습니다. 그래서 풍선 만들기를 학교에 와서 다시 해보고 현장은 비록 다르지만 같은 주제를 공유하는 것은 어디서든지 같을 수 있다라고 하는 것을 아마 인식을 그런 리서치를 통해서 확산시켜 준 것이 아닌가 하는 생각도 들었습니다. 그래서 결국 마지막에 결어로 말씀하신 것처럼 결국 그 창의적 교육이라고 하는 것은 안에 있는 것을 돌아보는 것이 아니라 바깥을 바라보고 바깥을 향하고 바깥에 대해서 관심을 갖는 것이다라고 하는 결론에 도달한 것 같습니다. 여기서 안과 박이라고 하는 것은 여러 가지 의미로 해석될 수 있겠죠. 안이라고 하는 것은 자기가 갖고 있는 예술 분야, 자기가 알고 있는 분야, 자기가 갖고 있는 것이라고 하는 제한성이라는 뜻에서의 안일 수도 있는 것이고, 바깥이라고 하는 것은 나 아닌 다른 사람, 옆에 것, 다른 분야, 다른 세계, 뭐 이런 것에 대한 개념이 아닐까라는 생각이 들었습니다. 그래서 결국은 그 창의적 교육이라고 하는 것은 천재를 위한 것이 아니라 일반인, 즉 우리 같은 시민을 위한 교육이 돼야 되고, 그래서 그 시민들은 지금 이 변화하는 환경에 대한 문제의식을 늘 가져야 되고, 그 갖기 위해 가진 문제의식을 목소리로 내어야 하는데, 그 내는 목소리의 하나의 툴로서 예술은 아마도 좋은 툴일 수도 있겠다. 그것은 그 어떤 엘리트 예술가가 아닌 일반적으로 예술을 생활의 소구 대상으로 쓰는 일반인들에게 뭐 그런 것이 아마 조금 담겨져 있지 않았나, 그런 말씀을 하시지 않았는데 이런 생각이 들었습니다. 그래서 결국은 이런 창의적 교육이 예술 교육에만 필요한 것이 아니라 궁극적으로 우리 지구인들의 삶의 가치를 변화시킬 수 있다, 변화시킬 수 있는 확신이 있다라는 것으로 이 스피치가 마지막 결어가 아닌가라는 생각이 듭니다. 혹시 저하고 생각이 다르면 나중에 질문해 주시기 바라겠습니다. 다 맞다고 그러시니까 잠깐 제가 안심을 하고 넘어가겠습니다. 다음은 우리 이제 박영춘 교수님께서 질의를 하시겠습니다. 양력은 여기 이제 나오는 거로 제가 가름하기로 하고요. 지금 아주 중요한 일을 하고 계시는데요. 2005년도에 사디라고 하는 학교에서 제품 디자인 학과를 만드시고 또 이제 학과장으로 활동하시면서 2008년에는 사디 제품 디자인 혁신 연구소를 설립해서 지금 연구소장으로 활동하고 계시는 우리 일상과 디자인 뭐 이런 개념에서 서로 소통하는 데 굉장한 전문가 교수님으로 알고 있습니다. 네, 교수님 말씀해 주시죠.
네, 감사합니다. 일단 크리스 웨인라이트의 발표를 듣고 제가 좀 정리하는 과정에서 일단 영어로 좀 하겠습니다. So, thank you very much for your wonderful presentation, and I was quite impressed about the idea that how artists and designers can get together and work to create a vision, and how you come to the solution to really influence the society. To go back to the basics of product design at SADI, our effort in educating designers to be creative and powerful and influential, I do believe that we have similar system of how you approach this project. There are 4 points. One, first of all, diversity. Second is intensity. Third is collaboration. And fourth is exploration. I believe that because of the scientists, artists, musicians, and many of the diverse people are involved in this project, and they were able to share and work together. And of course, their intensity of working and investigating and studying the problem itself is a key issue, and how much of study and work need to put into to get to the real understanding of the problem. That is very important, I realize. And third of all, collaboration. Because they're working together and because of their understanding each other and sharing ideas, they're able to come up with better solutions and understanding of the society and the world as a bigger picture. And the last of all, that's the exploration. Based on the diversity and intensity of the study and collaborating together, they have explored enough ideas to create message, and which is through the creating an image and perception to the people of the result of the project. And with all these structural understanding of how effectively that we can create and work together. And they have developed a strategy, which is a strategy of creating a creative vision. So with that system in mind, with the many diverse people working together, with doing the intensive work study of the problem and creating really collaboration among those people and also to the world and exploring the ideas, I believe they have created a very strong vision which can impact the society and people and the environment. So, which is done in a very active way, and I do believe that this kind of system is, in a way, similar to that of what we are trying to do at SADI, because our system is very similar in the sense that we accept diverse people and we put through very intensive curriculum, and we ask them to work together and come up with solutions, and they encourage them to explore. So this kind of understanding of the problem, but also coming up with a solution which can influence the society. I do believe one of the key issues is also the collaboration, working with the industry. I mean, working with the ideas of artists, and also which can impact the society, then you need to influence. So it is like going back to the basics of why we design, why the artists are working and generating ideas. It's about the society's needs and the desire. So far in design, we have been addressing the issue of needs of people and needs of environment, needs of society. But also we need to explore desires. What are they desiring in the future? What are the needs beyond the needs of the people, and what they should be desiring? I think that we can contribute to share the desire of people in coming years to influence the world. That's the job of artists and designers. Because of the intensity of study and their creative abilities, we can share and have them desire something that is right for the future. So I think there's an important roles of artists and designers, and hopefully that we can have them desire less, and we can have them desire to share and have them desire to communicate. So in many different areas of jobs and people's roles, I do believe that artists and designers have a very special talent, and with the tool of using their creativity and ability to come up with strategy and creative vision, they can really impact the world altogether. And I do believe that Chris has really demonstrated one very important aspect of the issue, that the artists and designers and the scientists and everyone working together to really have an issue and creating a strong message that can be really beneficial for the world we live in. Thank you.
자, 그럼 시간이 얼마 남지 않았는데요. 질문을 받겠습니다. 없으시네요. 네, 그러면 한 3분 정도 남았는데 더 이상 기다리지 않고 마무리를 하겠습니다. 뭐 잘 아시는 것처럼 20세기가 우리가 갖고 있는 한 분야를 깊게 판다고 또 전문가가 된다고 열심히 그 하나를 향해서 달려온 시대라고 한다면 21세기는 그 20세기의 것에 대한 반성과 새로운 대안의 그 제시의 세기가 시작이었다고 생각합니다. 그런 면에서 지금 융복합이라든가 학제간 연계, 통섭 뭐 이런 것들은 이제는 뭐 더 이상 새롭지 않은 그런 키워드가 됐습니다. 하지만 그것을 융합과 통섭을 실천하는 방법은 세계 각 곳에서 여러 가지 실험을 지금 행하고 있는 것으로 알고 있습니다. 아마 이 런던 예술대학에서 하고 있는 이런 확실한 주제를 정해서 접근해 가는 여러 가지 분야가 모여서 하는 방식도 있고, 또 잘 아시는 것처럼 그 MIT 미디어 랩에서 하는 아트 앤 테크놀로지의 또 융합 작업도 있고, 카라치 같은 데서 하고 있는 것도 있고, 세계 유수대학에서 다 많은 것들이 행해지고 있는 것으로 알고 있습니다. 하지만 한국에서는 아직 그 방향성에 대해서 저희가 잘 아시는 것처럼 카이스트에서 아트 앤 CT 대학원을 만든 지 벌써 몇 년이 돼서 실행하고 있는데, 또 저희 학교에서도 그것이 또 운영되고 있고, 하지만 정확한 방향성에 대해서는 각자들 좋은 방법들을 모색하고 있는 시기가 아닌가라고 생각합니다. 그런 면에서 오늘 이 크리스 웨인화이트의 스피치는 우리 한국의 융합 통섭 교육에 또 다른 자극을 주는 스피치가 아니었나라고 생각합니다. 주제를 정해서 사회가 갖고 있는 문제의식을 해결하기 위한 융합, 해결하기 위한 협업, 이것 또한 우리가 잊지 말아야 되는 그런 이 시대에 맞는 정신이 아닌가라는 생각을 다시 한번 하게끔 합니다. 그래서 이런 것들은 여러 방법 중에 하나로서 저희 나라에서도 잘 발전시켜 나간다면 굉장히 중요한 저희가 이 협업과 통섭과 융합에 있어서 아시아에서의 선도적인 그리고 좋은 예를 제시하는 그러한 쪽의 발전이 있지 않을까를 생각해 봅니다. 감사합니다. Thank you so much.